A Pox Upon Us All, page 65. We kids did everything together. We sat at the same table, eating the same food, breathing the same air. We shared jokes, songs, glasses, towels, and toys. We loved to set up a line of blocks so that when you toppled one, it would start a chain reaction and knock them all down, all the way from the living room to the bathroom. We shared the same germs, too. First, one of us would catch a cold or cough or flu, then another kid would get it a day or so later, followed by another and another, until there were so many sick kids lying around the house, it felt like we were living in a hospital. When I was really sick, I got to sleep downstairs in Mom and Dad's bed during the day. I loved that. The saddest part for me was when other kids got sick and I got evicted from the big bed. Usually, Mom forbade us to turn on the TV during the day. But when we were sick, she made an exception and let us watch for an hour or so. I loved being sick because that's when I got extra special care from Mom. She would fix me soup or an egg on toast for lunch. When my nose got plugged up or I had a bad cough, she rubbed Vicks on my chest. But I never got a really big slice of Mom's time because there were always babies and toddlers at home, and she had her hands full with them. The winter I was 9, we all got chicken pox at the same time. Mom about wore herself out trying to take care of us. It got so bad that Dad stayed home from work to help out. "Don't scratch," Mom kept saying as we picked at the sores on our bodies. She gave us baths with baking soda, which left a strange, gritty residue on the bottom of the tub. For the first few days, we were perfectly content laying around the house in our pajamas, doing puzzles, reading comics, watching the daytime TV. But being cooped up inside soon made us restless. We needed an outlet for all that pent-up energy. Mom took the baby to the store to buy some food. The instant she drove away, we started racing through the house, yelling at the top of our lungs, having wild pillow fights, completely forgetting that we were sick. When Mom came home, she scolded us for messing up the house. The next day, our muscles hurt, and Mom said we had used them too quickly after being sick for so long. The chicken pox lasted more than a week. Eventually, we were healthy enough to go back to school. But 2 weeks later, we were all sick again. The 6 of us could do nothing more than lay in our beds, limp as rag dolls. I had a headache and an earache, plus it felt like there was an achy fire in the joints of my shoulders, arms, and legs. The doorbell rang. I felt too weak to go answer it. A man's voice boomed through the front door. A moment later, Mom led Dr. Wentworth into the living room. He was a friendly, handsome doctor who came to our house 4 or 5 times a year. "They're all sick," he asked. "How about the baby?" "No," Mom said, "at least not yet." "Well, well, well," Dr. Wentworth said. "Let's see what we're dealing with." Mom called us all to the living room. Dr. Wentworth sat us in one long row on the couch. Then we went to work poking backs and bellies and necks, peering into our mouths and ears, listening with a stethoscope to 7 beating hearts. "Does it hurt to swallow?" Nod. "Do you feel tired?" Nod. "They've got swollen glands, every one of them, and that tells me one thing," he told my mother. "They've got the mumps. There's a lot of it going around." "Mumps?" Mom cried. "How long will it last?" "Figure a good week," the doctor said. "A good week?" Mom just stared at him. "Keep doing what you're doing," Dr. Wentworth told her. "Give them lots of liquids and lots of rest. Kids are pretty resilient. They'll survive." "I know they'll survive," Mom said, sighing and picking up the baby who had started to cry. "It's me I'm not so sure about." Eating the World, page 71. Jimmy didn't like following the rules, but Tommy took the rules and shredded them into little pieces. From the moment he could walk, he was the Tasmanian devil of the family, pulling books off shelves, whacking the little kids, stealing toys. One time he yelled during lunch. "Quiet," Mom told him. "The priest doesn't want to hear you." "I hate the priest," Tommy said loudly. With that, Mom grabbed his arm and rushed him out of the church. Whenever he got into trouble, Mom made him sit under the kitchen table so that she could keep an eye on him. This happened a lot. One morning, Tommy wandered away from our house and walked down Acorn Street. He was 4 years old and somehow got the crazy fool idea to start eating things. He munched dandelions, he gobbled grass, chewed sticks, swallowed dirt. Tommy pried some used gum off the street and chewed it. He found a discarded cigarette, broke it in half, and gobbled that down too. Pretty soon, Tommy staggered into the house, his face white as a piece of Wonder Bread. He was crying and holding his belly. When Mom found out what he'd been eating, she let out a yelp. She asked Lainey to watch the baby and keep an eye on the other kids. Then she put Tommy into the back seat of our car and drove straight to the hospital. And I went with her. "What's going to happen to him?" I asked. "He might have to get his stomach pumped," Mom said. I could tell she was upset. She had the steering wheel in a stranglehold. "Really? How did they do that?" I pictured some kind of suction on the outside of his belly. They take a skinny hose and stick it down your throat, Mom explained, using a low voice so Tommy couldn't hear. They vacuum up whatever's in your stomach. Believe me, it's not a pleasant experience. Ugh, I wanted to throw up just listening to the description. It turned out that Tommy didn't have to get his stomach pumped after all. The doctor gave him a special kind of medicine that made him vomit all the junk he'd eaten. I stayed in the waiting room, so I missed those fireworks. When Mom finally brought my brother out, he looked a lot better, even though he was crying. You're lucky you didn't kill yourself, Mom said on the way home. I turned to look at Tommy, but he had already fallen asleep. Next day at breakfast, Jimmy asked him, Why'd you do something so dumb like that? I was hungry, Tommy replied. Why didn't you eat some regular food? Jimmy demanded. I didn't have any, Tommy explained. That's the stupidest excuse I've ever heard, Jimmy said, rolling his eyes. What Tommy did was stupid, but for a long time, the idea of it, trying to eat the world, stayed in my mind. Once when I was alone in the woods, I pulled a leaf off a maple tree, folded it into my mouth, and started to chew. It was bitter. Later, I nibbled on a piece of pine bark and spit it out. I knelt down, peeling off the layer of pine needles, and put my tongue against the bare ground. Dirt tasted different from what I expected. It was almost clean, almost sweet.